Hi, I'm back in the essay writing series in the Study Skills blog with me, Lauren, the Study Skills Advisor here at Young Grantee. And this video, we are talking about the first part in the essay writing series, which is analysing the task. I know this seems like a pretty niche thing to talk about, analysing the task, but I guarantee you it is one you probably don't spend enough time on, and I really wanted to highlight it in this video because I've seen students not spend enough time on it, and it is really fundamental to being able to write a good essay. So let's have a chat about it. One really useful thing to start with when we're thinking about answering the question, analysing what the question is really asking us, is thinking about what your markers are looking for. Your markers generally, fundamentally, really want to see that you have, drumroll please, addressed the question. Which seems pretty obvious, but really, I mean fully address the question. They want to see that your argument is logically developed, that your writing is well structured, that it has a clear introduction, body paragraphs and conclusion, that you've used supporting evidence well, that your discussion remains relevant, and that you've analysed the topic in depth. And in order to make sure that you've addressed all of this, as well as any other criteria outlined in the rubric, it's really important to spend some time looking at the question and looking at the rubric. So we're going to start by having a look at the key concept words. These are the words that relate to the topic and the main discussion points of your essay. So basically the subject. But these can also reveal the limitations of the essay. So the where, when, in what context are you discussing the concept? And it's important to pay attention to this because it means that you'll keep your discussion only to that which is most relevant. So for example, if you have an essay question that reads, how can teachers develop critical thinking skills in the classroom? The key concept words here are teachers and critical thinking skills, right? But we also want to have a look for those limitations. So in this case, the limitation is in the classroom. So a discussion of teaching critical thinking skills in any other context would be irrelevant in this essay. So then we want to have a look at the key task words. So these tell us how to approach your assignment. They are your instructions, basically. And they might be something like discuss, examine, distinguish, outline. These words all can often sound quite similar, and you might assume that they're kind of telling you to do very similar things, but they often do have quite distinct differences. So I've included a task word breakdown in the notes in the blog. So download that and have a look at it, and hopefully that will give you some clarity about what those different task words are actually asking you to do. It's also important to distinguish between words like how and why and what. These are also really important task words, and they all are asking different things of us. So in the example question from above, the key task word is how. So this means that the essay is going to focus on process and methods rather than, say, for example, a discussion of why teaching critical thinking skills is important. So next I want you to pay attention to the scope of the essay. So this means thinking about how long it is, what is it weighted, so what's the percentage that it's worth of your overall grade, what are the research requirements, that kind of thing. And this is important for figuring out how much work, time and energy is going to be required of you in this essay, and what the expectations of that will be. So for example, if the essay is 1,000 words and worth 10%, you know not to spend as much time on it as you do on an essay that is, say, 2,500 words and worth 40% of your grade. And this can also be really useful in trying to figure out what will actually make it into your essay. So I kind of talked a little bit in my last video about there potentially sometimes being dozens of different approaches that you can take to an essay. And you can't necessarily cover everything that you could potentially write about. So defining the limitations and the scope of the essay is really important because that will help you to be able to filter what is actually going to make it into your essay and what you can cut out and what's maybe not as strong, not as relevant, and is going to get left on the cutting room floor. Finally, check your rubric. This is a really important document. You can usually find it in your topic guidebook or on Flow. And this tells you exactly what you're going to be assessed against. So it's really important to make sure that you're across all the criteria right from the very beginning. This document can also help you figure out how you wish to structure your assignment, and it might highlight any hidden elements that don't stand out in the assignment guidelines, such as the depth of critical thinking required or the analysis required required, the breadth of evidence required, or how you synthesize your ideas. So I know this is just a little brief one and it might not even seem that important, but trust me, take it from me as a tutor, as somebody who reads dozens and dozens of essays, that spending the time really thinking about the question is a fundamental place to start. Next time, I'm going to be talking about planning your essay and developing an outline, which is also an often overlooked but fundamentally important part of your essay, the most important part of your essay in my opinion. So stick around, click on the next video, and I will see you there.